It's July 24th, and welcome to episode 92 of the Driving Forward podcast. Whether you're joining us live or listening on one of our 18 platforms, including Reese Across America Radio, where we broadcast every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, we appreciate your support. GLCS will be at the Minnesota Trucking Association annual conference next week, July 29th through the 31st at the beautiful Arrowwood Resort in Alexandria, Minnesota. We are happy to sponsor the breakout session on Wednesday afternoon at 2:45 p.m. Topics include office technology, mitigating fraud, choosing maintenance software, paid family medical leave, which is actually a fairly big topic here in Minnesota, and much, much more. We are excited to see everyone there. If you're golfing on Tuesday, we'll be around. Pete Matta and I will be swinging some clubs along with, I think, Jeff Resch from Uber Freight and Todd Waldron from Truck Stop. So our team is, I don't know, outside of myself, they're going to look pretty. I think Waldron knows how to play. So, but we'll be there. It's one of my favorite events of the year. So looking forward to that one. Outside of that, here's our list for events the GLCS will be at for the remainder of the year. We're excited about the McLeod User Conference. We have a wonderful event that I'll talk about here in a minute. For freight movement, we'll be at the ATA Management Conference as well, NMFTA Cybersecurity Conference. We're working out other details with that team there. BCS as usual, this time in Orlando, Florida. Lots of people say they don't like conferences in Orlando. It's my favorite place for a conference. Of course, I'm from Minnesota. That's in October. It's a good time for me. Trimble Insight in New Orleans. That is a little later than it usually is. Typically, Trimble has their conference in September. This time November. So Reese Across America too. Reese Across America, December 13th. Just calling that one out. We're going to start running some advertisements for Reese Across America here sooner than later. Last year, I think we started running them more in November. Just to promote the whole event and what it means to us. So we're going to be picking that one up early. August 21st, there's a freight movement event taking place in Atlanta. Really, we're going to take over Atlanta. We're partnered, of course, with Broker Carrier Summit on the Big Road Tour. Multi-fuel or multi-service fuel card, Upwell and Transfix are partnering with us to bring this one home. We're locked in at New Realm Brewing Company from 6 to 9 p.m. The event is posted on Eventbrite. We're actually not going to run an event sign up on LinkedIn this time. It's a little confusing for everybody. It's just going to be on Eventbrite, but we are going to advertise it on LinkedIn with the Eventbrite sign up. We'll drop the link in the comments for everyone. We hope to see you there. September 21st, Freight Movement will also be at the Gaylord Rockies for the McLeod Conference. That's on Sunday, September 21st from 8 to 11 p.m. following the open session of the McLeod Conference. We'll have some golf simulators open, looking to wind down the first day of the event with who's who of the industry. Attendance is limited for this one, so be sure to sign up. We can only accommodate about 100 people at 8 p.m. We'll likely cycle through people through, but definitely sign up because I expect to have to turn people away, or we expect to have to turn people away, and that's always rough. We've had a number of events that we've had to do that in the past. If you remember, and we're at our Manifest event, we actually turned several hundred people away at that one, even though we had several hundred people at it. So while I think we're on to our guest here at this point. So while half the industry is still reading tea leaves and pretending they've got answers, This guy's already mapped the storm, adjusted the sails, and charted the next course. Kyle Kottke doesn't just react to the market. He orchestrates his move like a freight grandmaster, 3 steps ahead while everyone else is stuck in neutral. As general manager of Kottke Trucking, he's led through chaos with calm grinds through rate crashes and through every cycle with one unshakable mantra: figure it out, keep moving, and don't flinch. This isn't some recycled hot take. This is freight intelligence from a guy who's built for it, built from it. So if you're ready to hear what's really going on in the trenches and what's coming next, listen or watch. This man from Buffalo Lake just stepped back in the ring. He's been here before. He's back to the show. The navigator, the freight strategist, and certified beast behind the wheel of one of America's most respected carriers, Kyle Kottke. Welcome back to Driving Forward.
Thanks, the mayor. I think you were pretty kind in the intro there. I hope I live up to that.
You will. You always do. So you're always a good one to talk to, and we did the Kyle Kottke story over a year ago on here. So we probably should have had you on before. We were just talking about this, and it's great. The market is what it is. It's been a wild and crazy since you were on, it's probably been 15 months. But I enjoyed our last conversation, and this should be a good discussion. There's a lot to talk about, and just so our viewers know, there's a few text messages that were exchanged, but Kyle and I kind of left this one open almost entirely. So I'm actually excited to see where this goes. So
I was doing well until you did the intro. Now I'm not so sure.
Well, I didn't want to go down the sailing route too far.
Okay.
Maybe I was on the Lance Healy too much or something. I don't know. So, but I think you and I are both on the lines of we want powered boats, not sailing boats. I mean, I like to throttle down and go. So
absolutely.
Well, it is what it is. So how have you been? I mean, how's life?
My answer to everybody is life is good and business pretty much stinks. But the reality is we are maneuvering through that. I mean, we get teased. It feels a couple times like we're ready to go, and then it doesn't happen. So,
right.
The reality is I just walked out of my quarterly meeting. I tell them, hey, the status quo is not going to be the status quo. Something changes. We know that. We're preparing to, wherever that wind blows our boat, to your analogy, we want to be ready to take advantage of that. And I think we're doing pretty well with that in mind.
I think that lots of companies are holding their own. Those that didn't prepare have depleted their war chest and are now very much so struggling, clawing their way out. They're reaching into coffers they never wanted to reach into. The trade terms are extended on the equipment to a point where this is now going to start getting very expensive from a maintenance perspective. I think we see that in that ATRI study where things are getting a little bit more expensive on the maintenance side, and the trade terms are extending, not getting shorter. We're hearing that too from our OEMs. So
I'm guilty.
Yeah. Oh, who isn't? I mean, why wouldn't you? So
yeah, you're at a funny crossroads, and you got all kinds of cross winds that are blowing. I mean,
we're going back to sailing.
Yeah, I'm leaving the motor off. We're going to do with the winds here, but the
right. It's all about
you got a unique movement in the logistics world that's pushing all the 1099s, agents, all of that's going on. You're watching them post incredible margins, and everything that's going on. They think they're the smartest segment of the industry right now, and they might be. And you got customers that are either deciding to latch on to long-term providers and they're going to keep them afloat, or they're trying to drive in the last nail. I hope it's the last nail. Holy freaking Hannah, we can talk about that all day long. And it kind of feels, for a lack of, forgive me for a biblical, it feels like the parting of the sea a little bit. You know, you're kind of feeling that, and you're feeling that, and it feels different. The people I talk to in my circle, I always make a bunch of phone calls before I go into a quarterly meeting. They agree. I mean, the COVID money is gone. You know, all these other things are gone. Everybody's where they're at. You're seeing some fleets downsize. You're seeing some fleets take advantage. It just feels awkward. And that sums it up in a word.
No, I concur on that. I agree. There are people winning.
Yes.
Some are very vocal about that. You called out the 1099 brokers, the 1099 brokers that are out there. There's not a huge number of them. So, but you have anytime you have somebody who's extremely gritty and dynamic, you're going to have a better chance on winning there than anywhere else. What you don't see is how everything behind them wraps up. So,
yep.
So I will that model last at scale? I don't think so. When you put out 1,000, well, there's not 1,000 companies. There's less than 1,000 freight brokerages with 10 employees at them. So you will not see that scale to 1,000 companies. It can't. There's not enough sustainable business. So who knows where that goes? But from a trucking aspect, when you look at scalability, is anyone really, really winning? You know, at best, you have LTL carriers doing okay-ish. But outside of that, you know, I think it's a matter of holding your own and trying to maneuver through the market. But, you know, supposedly we're back to the normal truck count that we're supposed to be at. But everybody optimized over the last 5 years and now knows how to load trucks better, knows how to put more freight on trucks, has better routing. So did we even need that many trucks on the road anymore? Do we need to go further?
You know, and you're obviously, this is your world. So now I'm going to be preaching your, not only did we do what we did in the next 5 years, we can talk about what we're about to do in the next 18 months. Right. I mean, we're jumping on board. We're making investments. We're going to be smarter in 3 months from now than we were today or 3 months ago. I'm with that. I mean, I tell my team that trucking is going to look terribly different, at least from the inside, by December 2026. I truly believe that. And we're banking on that.
Yeah. Well, there's some, so I mean, from a technology standpoint, you just see it, and we'll talk more about the ATRI study, and at some point we'll pull up and dissect that grid that they came up with over the last, well, not came up with, but their study over the year over year since 2013. But you just see how carriers have been becoming more efficient to combat all the increase in costs. But it seems like right now that is a losing battle. So we've now hit a threshold that you just can't win.
Well, there's only so much water in the towel, Nate. I mean, we can wring on that sucker as hard as we want.
It dries out, yeah.
You know, and most of us are there. You hinted on it earlier, but you might find it funny. There was a bank that I haven't dealt with in 3 years, walked through the front door, said, "What can I do for you today?" I said, "Go repo the trucks you're supposed to repo." I mean, you can't do anything for me.
Yeah, exactly. Just right.
Help us get to the other side. So
yeah. Go do your job. Don't talk to me. So I said that.
I got nothing. Go do the other side of your job.
Right. Absolutely. I think there's a truth to that. I mean, there's so many answers to that's true. So make things come to roost that should have, and hold people accountable. So yeah,
Well, we got
I
so
don't
many
want to
things
take
that have
more on.
artificially made this cycle so long, right? With the bank's involvement and the money from the government on the front end sides, and you know, it feels oftentimes like the tail's wagging the dog here. I mean, just simply because of how this thing's set up, and um, I can say with confidence that that the journey is coming to an end because there's nothing left to wag. I mean, my team consistently is changing and tweaking and doing their things, and next 13 weeks we're going to do this. But I'm here to tell you those decisions. The meat's gone and the bone is here, and eventually something changes. So
Yeah.
I'm fortunate. I got an 80-year-old balance sheet. My grandfather taught me how to live on nothing. I live in a Rambler home. My pickup's got rust on it. So life is good here. So don't get me wrong on that, but not everybody can say the same.
No, I'd say it's a pretty substantial amount of organizations that are having this conversation, and they're not in that same position. So, and they are starting to pull levers that are not what levers they want to pull. They have 7-year-old trucks that they're thinking about refinancing. They currently don't have payments on them, but instead of that, they're saying, okay, I need to refinance. Instead of selling, they're refinancing the ones that they're operating, and that's not a good move.
They're worth more to them as a loan item than they are the cash that they're worth on the market, and that's scary.
Yeah. And those are, I mean, that's a survival tactic, and you can't ever say anything against somebody for surviving. So
Honestly, the reason that this is so long and so painful is because it's maybe the most stand-up industry in the entire world.
Yeah, we don't give up.
You got a bunch of people in this industry that are going to fight until there ain't any fight left in the dog. And I tip my hat to every single person that's doing exactly what we're trying to do too.
Yeah. You don't give up, you keep swinging, and that's the way this industry has always worked. But that initial cash allowed operators to run even though they were already out of business. And
yes.
So now, instead of taking these positions that they're in currently, they should have been in that position several years ago.
Yes.
And it is what it is. So,
well, I had a guy that told me, and I think you'll love the analogy because you alluded to it. The companies that move the levers earlier, smaller, now can still make the lever moves smaller later. And the ones that shove their head in the sand are now needing to take those levers and slam them to try to make, because they thought the market was going to save them, right?
Right.
So you've seen two different approaches. Those of us in the background that are just niching that and pushing that lever, or on your speedboat, right? We just constantly continue to push that throttle forward. And then you're finding the ones that did nothing or couldn't do nothing because of the makeup, and now they're stuck. Now they're figuring out that they got to really move meaningful things, and they're hurting.
Yeah, and you flipping back to market, we when we look at market, so I've thrown out the market book, so I don't even listen anymore, and I haven't. So for the last 2 years, I've gone into every economist that every conference I go to, listen to every economist, and I've pretty much decided I'm not going to waste that hour or two at a conference anymore, with the exception of 1 or 2 economists. And the primary reason is it doesn't matter anymore, because it can change tomorrow based upon a tariff adjustment, primarily a tariff adjustment, some new negotiation, whatever the case may be, some new news. But it is literally just something that can happen. And if tariffs ever even out and stabilize, then our industry can stabilize, because our industry just needs a target, as has been proven time and time again. You just get a target, and we'll adjust to it. We can make that work. But if it's a moving target that we can't predict, We have no idea how to do that, and we will suffer over and over and over. So from a market projection, people think that we've hit the bottom from a capacity standpoint. I don't know if that's true. I think that we're going to see it get worse. But
I would agree.
Once demand improves, so I think that's the key word is demand, right? So and that's consumer confidence, and I don't even see that coming around anytime. And I mean, just as a consumer, who wants to buy anything? So
I'm fairly certain that I've read this, and you probably are more detailed than me. I don't believe trucking's ever recovered by capacity. It's always recovered by demand.
Right. Absolutely.
Capacity can exit and will exit. I'm very, very confident of what I hear in the background that we're going to lose capacity. But the reality is we need something to happen on the demand side in order for us to get to a point of where we want to be.
I don't believe that we have good control over our capacity numbers anyway, because when a company loses capacity, that capacity shifts to another company.
Yep.
And we don't necessarily have the exact detail on how that shifts and as fast as it can shift. So when an MC goes away, it could be brought on to another company and you don't even know it. And you probably won't recognize that for a year or so or two in the data. That may change in the next year or two with some of the way that we're looking at some of the data, but I just don't see it happening anytime in the near future.
So, the only thing that would maybe be different about this cycle is, you've got the half of the market that can obviously move and absorb. There's no question about that. But in a normal cycle, you probably got 80-ish% of that market that can absorb capacity and do their thing and take it. There's segments of our industry that just simply won't be able to put on capacity no matter what. Right. And it, to me, feels fatter, thicker, or more of the market in this turn than maybe in some of the other cycles I've been in. So that's interesting. I mean, now it just makes it, if you're one of the ones that are more fluent and can move, it just makes it more interesting for you. I mean, but I don't know that pool's as deep as it's been in turns past.
So we got a comment here, and then I want to do a little feeder on some tactics on how to maybe reduce some costs, some thought around that. Then we'll go to break. We'll talk a little bit more about that, maybe get into the ATRI studies, but we'll see where the rest of the thing goes. But so Scott Peters, nice dog, Scott. Hey guys, thanks for the insight. Fed must drop the rates ASAP. The economy is ready to rip. What do you think about that?
Well, there's enough debt in trucking that a rate drop is probably meaningful. I mean, I'd be foolish to say that it's not. I don't know that the retail economy is as good as Scott's making that sound. Right. Yes, there are segments. You got the technology pieces. I feel what he's saying closer to what I do in the industry. I don't think that that's accurate.
Yeah, I go with. I think that every trucking company would benefit from a rate drop just from an expense reduction.
Yes.
But I don't think you'd see trucking companies go out and buy more equipment right now. I don't think. Now, that being said, would we go out and buy houses? I think so. That's my experience in transportation is when housing jumps, everything else is going to start going with it. Housing and automotive. So, and I don't think automotive's ever coming back. I think it's gone. Like people are not going to buy cars the way that they used to pre-COVID.
Nope.
Whatever the case is. So
I would agree. And I also agree that the consumer will drive my segment of the industry. So if the drop, remember there's more lines of credit in trucking exercised or with a balance on it today than ever before. So we'll get that as an expense item to your point. And then Will a 4% mortgage over an 8% mortgage move the needle on the consumer side? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're
Another
not going to
comment.
get 4 points back.
Well, I any points down, I think we would be happy with. So Sheree, good to hear from you, Sheree. Haven't talked to you in a long time. Amazon has a great operation model where they use technology instead of dispatchers and other staff. They reduce the cost of paperwork and more. It's a model that should be looked at. And
everybody is.
Yeah, I think everybody
is.
Huge, at least in some scalable portion. If you have more than 5 dispatchers looking at
the amount of labor hours we're putting into a mile driven today is the lowest ever in my time. Yeah,
absolutely. And back office is at one time you thought back office, there's no way we can make this more efficient, and it's actually getting more efficient.
Continues to get, and we just made more for the next 13 weeks to go achieve just today.
Right. Yeah. It's we have some partners that we're getting even closer to that which I should chat with you about. You and I haven't talked about them, but there's some amazing stuff that's out there that just,
I agree.
And even front office, some of the new stuff that's out there that, to Sheree's point, there's some tech that's just awesome. So Scott follows up, housing is waiting, 7 million need to get built.
There is no question the inventory of housing is an issue.
Yeah. So let's spend a couple minutes chatting about just some feeders, and then we'll come back in after break and dig in more about some strategies about cost reduction. So you have a trucking company today, and what are some basic tactics? I definitely have some, but I'll let you go first. What are some things you should look at right out of the gate to reduce cost?
Assuming somebody's not looked at it, I mean, look at the largest expenses first. That's fuel. So miles per gallon, idle, cruise control settings. Be very cautious of be fuel smart is what we call it here. And as your truck gets older, it gets harder. I get that. We get it. But if you're not doing it, start there. Go through your GNL. Your GL will tell you exactly what you want to know. Just most people aren't willing to go down it line by line by line and discuss what's in each one of them. Sadly, a company my size found $1 million going line by line in a GL. Means we ain't doing it enough, obviously, but you can find it. So the reality of how that looks is just go get it. And many times that goes into training, cross training. Many times we overstaff because we don't know how coverages work. So all of those things should be sorted through. But if you're in a market like this, you're not going to probably win on the top line. If you are, it's going to be through either efficiency or deadhead. It's probably not going to be through rate. So those are the few tips that I'd give anybody who asks.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuel is the first thing we look at. So first thing, and thanks, Sheree, for the comment. This is an essential conversation. I'm glad I could catch you today and appreciate you watching. So fuel, absolutely first thing. Second thing that we look at is how paper moves through an organization. So because that is a cheap technology solution to deploy. Those couple of things are great to look at. And I agree with you. We are a technology company. We don't move freight. We have a bunch of people that work at homes and in an office, and mining through your general ledger and looking at every expense. It's something I don't do as religiously as I should, but I need to. So I just did it yesterday, and that's one that just you just need to do it.
If you haven't done it, it's flattering. There's stuff in there that you would never believe unless you actually did the exercise.
And it's not going to do anything more than make you mad when you do it. So you should do it more often and then not be mad. So because
we spend what on what? I mean, it's going to come up.
Yeah. And then the junk that you're paying for that you aren't even using too. So that's you tried something out, you forgot to forgot to cancel the service, whatever. It could be $100. It could be $1,000. You don't know. So
honestly, if you don't want to go through your GL line by line, which many people maybe aren't like you and I willing to read it, here's what you do. For 30 days, turn everything that comes through accounts payable to approval only.
Sure. Yeah.
You'll find it that way.
Right. Yep. No, that's a way, or just shut almost everything off that isn't major. So, and see what everybody screams about. So,
and they will.
if it's not obvious, like a major vendor, then shut it off and see what happens. So, all right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about a minute. Just a quick message from Freight Movement and GLCS, and we'll be back. We'll come back with we'll chat about some news, and then we'll pick up more about. I think we'll mine into ATRI and then talk about more strategy about how to navigate this crappy economy that we're in. If your fleet's downtime looks like chaos, you're missing out on GLCS. In the fast-paced world of trucking and logistics, time is everything. Meet GLCS, your expert partner in managed IT services. We integrate seamlessly with your team, bringing seasoned IT professionals with deep transportation and logistics expertise. Imagine your software updates running smoothly, complex issues resolved quickly, and operations humming with efficiency. GLCS has your back. Our support doesn't just fix problems, it prevents them. With our industry connections and proactive approach, we keep your trucks rolling and your brokers working. Think of us as the added resource your company needs to unleash its full potential. Visit glcs.net today and keep your business driving forward. GLCS, where efficiency meets expertise. And we're back. I was trying to get an image over to work on it. I didn't get there. I think we got a few more comments, so we'll start out with those. We've got Nick Hovde. Nick is now. Yeah, what's that?
I know Nick. Hi, Nick.
I know Nick too. So
all right.
Nick's actually been on the show last year at MTA, I think, and another time.
Cool. Yeah,
and another time we had him on twice, I think. So. Is now a good time to consider investing in technology from a spend money to save money make perspective? I'll let you take that one first.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Maybe your ROI cycle gets shorter during these times because you need that turn than they are in a normal cycle. But if you're stopping investing and continuing to bury your head in the sand, you're just going to lose further.
Nick says, I've been in the background of the industry for a few months. Miss you guys, and thanks for all that you do. So, Nick, to piggyback on that question, that's what we do. So, you got any questions there, you know how to reach me. But and I think I know where you're at now. But there's ways to lose money by buying tech, but there's certainly a lot of great solutions out there. And we see a lot of companies investing in those good solutions. So, I think Kyle and I talked about fuel. If you're not using fuel optimization, depending upon what segment of the industry, and if you're, I have static routes, then you don't probably need it. But if you're doing over the road regular out freight and you don't have fuel optimization, you're crazy. So that's like saving a nickel plus a mile right there. So
remove it. So have a committee choosing your technology. Remove the person that appears to be most emotional. Just get them out of the room, and then have it. So now you're not going to have the shiny object thing going on in your room, right? Because everybody loves to buy the shiny object, right? Get that out of your room. Sit down and talk about it. Can this do this? Go. I mean,
right.
The hard part about the industry, Nate, and I got to be careful because I'm pretty sure the sponsors your company. So
we don't have. Well, we have PLCS is the sponsor, but that we don't take sponsors, so we're good.
Everybody wants truckers' money right now. Just be smart where you spend it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, don't beware of what you're buying, beware of what you're putting into place, ensure that it gets implemented cleanly.
And that is what you guys do. So there is your ad that you didn't ask for, but I gave you.
Appreciate it. So Oman, he says, "Hi everyone. I'm really happy to be here. We love that you're watching. Appreciate you tuning in." All right, so I'm always not so great at sharing my screen, so we're going to try this, and hopefully we get wrong one. So I already messed it up. So we'll try this one, and that didn't work right. So all right, give me a second. I'm gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna stop that. So all right, we'll share number one. So
for you today, buddy.
There we go. Okay, all right, now we got it. All right, first news story: 130 truckers and mechanics to be laid off in Arizona after failed Teamsters negotiations with Kroger. So the interesting thing with this one, and that's not that big of a, I mean, it's 130 people that are switching, but it's actually, so the interesting thing on this story is that if you drill down into it, which you can't really see, but Knight Swift ended up taking over this account for Kroger.
Ruan loses it.
Yep. Ruan had it, and Knight Swift is taking it over. And if you drill into the article further, the Teamsters are actually going to picket Kroger because they switched to Knight Swift. So the other thing is Knight Swift is intending, if you actually look into it further than that, Knight Swift is actually looking to do it with 70 or 80 drivers instead of 130. But, that's just an interesting story. So, Kroger chooses to go with a cheaper provider. That provider still is using drivers. But the Teamsters are going to now picket Kroger over that. So you don't have to comment on that being a business owner, Kyle, but if you want to, go ahead. So.
I'm not a huge union. I don't have a union, so I don't know a ton of that. Kroger's in the ability to choose their provider for whatever their reason is. And I think I'm best leaving it right at that, right?
Yeah, that's about where I go. I've had some experience with unions in the past, but I just, I thought that was interesting. Call it out. It's a story to watch. But given all the other discussions with truck lines that have been in union battles, I thought that was an interesting one. So next one, which is kind of hot off my formerly nicotine stained fingers. No, I don't smoke, but just pull out the rush thing. So anyway, FMCSA officially withdraws speed limiter rule for heavy trucks. So this is where they were going to be requiring heavy duty trucks to install speed limiter devices that would govern trucks at various speeds, dependent upon whatever they determined. Whether that was going to be a blanket speed or it was going to be a one that was geolocated, I think was still in determination, but it has since been withdrawn, and we are not at a limiter scenario anymore. And I think we kind of saw this one coming with this administration, but have any thoughts on that, Kyle?
I see both goods and bads. I'm a safety nut.
Yeah.
There's definitely a safety side of me that says that limiters remove certain risks associated with high speeds. I'm also very sensitive to my drivers and their concerns about all trucks going the exact same speed and what that means and what that does. So I'm in the middle. I absolutely, every time my gut turns, every time I see an accident on these newses, whether it be fatalities and things. So, speed kills. it affects a lot of our independent contractors, probably more than our fleet operators, and good for them, because I assume they were the most loudest against it.
Yeah, I where I come in at it was primarily around speed variance. So, I have a great example of this one that popped up when I was driving. So I drove from Minneapolis down to Walcott, Iowa for the Walcott Jamboree a couple weeks ago. And a truck was moving at 62 miles an hour, and it had the road plugged up in a bad way. I think there was two trucks that were probably trying to pass each other. One probably was governed at 62 or 63. One was governed at 63 or 64, and they were racing. And this is just, but this wouldn't have mattered based upon this law anyway, because those trucks still would have been governed that slow. So,
Yep.
There is an effective. So I think the idea behind this is there's a safe speed of operation, and then there's not. And trucks need to be able to move down the road safely, and if there is a substantial differential between the speed a vehicle is operating and the active speed of the highway, that's also not safe. So
the world I live in, any incident that we can prevent, we should, and I feel your pain on that. I've been in that spot in both seats. So I'm truly on both sides of that fence.
Right.
There's no reason for me to be in a private passenger car going 75 miles an hour in a something posted even out west with a truck pulling my doors off. I mean, there's no reason for that in the society we live in today, and it happens all the time.
Yeah, I remember when I first started driving, I drove for Gainey, and that goes back a long way. And I was governed at 62. And I remember I was driving across Wyoming, and this was back when everybody had CBs, and that's the only way you talk. There's no cell phone. I mean, there were cell phones, but nobody had them. And I remember hearing on the CB, "Don't look, Gainey." And boom, this guy came by me so fast that it made the truck shook. I mean, he probably was doing 90. And
Yep.
I mean, you didn't want to look. So, I mean, but that's an example of speed variance is more dangerous than anything else. I mean, you have a rookie driver, and I was a rookie driver back then. If I did look, I might have freaked out. So that would have been a horrible accident. So we have another comment from Sheree. We are driving clustered out here because most of us are going the same speed. And I agree. And I think if everybody's going the same speed, that's probably not horrible. I think that's fine. But when you get somebody moving 70, somebody moving 62, and then two trucks moving 62 plug up the whole freeway for 20 miles as they slowly creep past each other, you have to think about what's the wise decision in passing. So
I think we're better off solving when I'm not moving than when I'm moving 62 and mad that I can't go faster.
Right.
I mean, if you want my time on something, let's talk about not how fast we can go, but let's get my truck moving.
Yes.
Let's talk about. I mean, so I apologize for the fact that I'm less sympathetic than maybe you and one of your guests, but
no, you don't apologize. So I get it. I get it completely. So I mean, it is what it is. So Sheree caps off with 62 to 65, makes them sleepy. 68 is a reasonable speed. So, so I think everybody, it depends on where you're at, where you're operating, who you're operating for, what kind of freight you're hauling. Nick comes in with there needs to be a right lane, left lane reform before we introduce speed limiters, German Autobahn type rules, and I'd say there's a lot bigger battles that we need to fight. So, and speaking of bigger battles, let's switch to this ATRI study here. So, now this ATRI study, I clipped in. If you look over here on the left-hand side, I clipped in 2013 and 2014 from the 2023 study. So we actually get, I think that's 12 years of run. on the aggregate cost, which roughly is 130,000 trucks, something like that, in the dry van, refrigerated, and flatbed market. So truckload market. So, and I highlighted a few areas, which basically shows windows, and then we can talk about some other things. You and I were kind of talking about some of this beforehand. Fuel, we kind of jumped in, but anything that I'll kind of pass the mic over to you to start this one out, though. So anything that kind of jumps out on their 2025 study here to you, though, Kyle?
So my thumb scrolled to 2021 at $1.85.5 to 226
Yeah.
last year at 40.5 cents a mile. That pretty much tells the state of trucking right there.
Yep. That's inflation and driver wages. And, driver's wages. Not inflated driver, but yeah,
zero
inflation.
doubt that nobody's got 40.5 cents a mile more. I mean,
right.
If you do, good for you. You're in a niche. Be quiet. Don't say a word. Put your head in the sand. Keep doing what you're doing. The rest of us don't have that. We're fighting like hell to figure out where to go find it somewhere else.
What's the average spot market rate these days?
Oof, I think I saw $1.80 something.
It's a net loss according to this by a big way. So,
and I so I'm a hybrid LTL truckload guy, so I'm higher than 226.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my guess is you have a pretty tight network. So
I have a very tight network. Yes.
Yeah. So that you're not just going to Kingdom Come. So
I assure you that I'm not hauling too much off the spot market at $1.85.
Yeah, I would, especially being a Minnesota LTL truckload refrigerated guy. So there's not. It's a little different out of here. So
it is.
The thing that jumped, the highlighted areas when I look at fuel cost, and just the fuel cost alone, 64.5 cents a mile in 2013. And that, if you go back to that, that's, the DEF era where we were trying to figure out how to function. And 48 cents a mile today. And average cost of diesel per gallon in 2013 was $3.87 a gallon in June. And in June of 2025, it's $3.59 nationwide. I just grabbed a number. That's DOE.gov. So basically, diesel's the same price as it was in 2013. For the most part, we're playing in the same field. So, it was higher last year. So that's why 2023 was, 70 cents higher.
I find it interesting how static it is if you move about 3 years out of there.
If you move, I wish if you actually took a generic surcharge and just run it out of here, I bet you it will show the DEF impact, and that's it. And then it would be flat. So
look at the next line. I see you highlighted it.
This one makes me puke.
That's what, 2.5, almost 2.5 times, right? Yeah.
3, closer to 3. I mean, it's 45 cents, 48 cents would be. So yeah, it's 2.5. You're right.
2.5 times.
The accountant times. Yeah. So
that's wonder why everybody's extending their cycles. They have to.
Well, you look at any of these and you go, how do you win by efficiency? Repairs and maintenance, you can win by efficiency.
Yep.
But truck and trailer payments, you can't do anything by efficiency. The only thing you can do is extend your cycles, but that doesn't actually impact the payment. So this payment is actually just whatever your payments are. If you go to 0, you're not tracking your payments. So that's 0. Yep. You're not actually taking an average payment per truck that you're operating. This is just,
and that guy's got higher repair and maintenance. I mean,
there's
just no question.
Well, that's actually the weird thing I think on this study, though, is this is your average truck and trailer payment. But if your payment is 0, I don't think they're capturing it.
True. Oh, I understand.
So,
So
but
it's
your
not
repair and
depreciation.
maintenance is being captured by the zero. So,
Yep.
which is probably why we see repairs and, well, number one, inflation. Number two, the extended trade cycle towards 2022, 2023, and 2024. But I think you also get some efficiencies there that are coming in and saving people too, even though it's gone up. What's your thoughts on maintenance?
It's a nightmare. I mean, internal staff's having a hard time finding enough techs. Tech pay is going through the roof. Outside shops are booked. They're expensive. Um,
Yeah.
I'm moderately interested that one's only up 50%. I think we'll see some inflation as this study continues on not only repair and maintenance, but your truck insurance premiums.
I mean, truck. If you look at truck insurance premiums, that's up basically 100%, or just shy of, from over the last 12 years, which I don't think anybody's surprised on. I was actually surprised it wasn't higher. So,
Me too. And congratulations to Warner. That gives me hope. But for every one case
yeah.
that way, I think I've heard 3 the other way. So that number feels like it's going to continue to rise quickly. Cost of tires from 4.1 to 4.7 feels terribly low to me.
Yeah, that was surprised to find that out. I didn't. That seemed odd to me because tires are a consumable that just is what it is. So I would have thought that would have went up with the cost of rubber.
And I think it has for me. So somebody's doing something better for me. And then
So it
just
is something that's efficiency. A lot of people have instituted, even small fleets have instituted tire measurements and efficiency programs, and
yep.
they're managing things differently. So I do expect something out of that, but I would have expected that higher. So
And then driver wages is probably what we both expected, right?
yeah, absolutely. And that's that. I mean, between that and truck payments are kind of the main problems. Yep. So
maybe you'll see the driver payment finally go flat. I mean, you're starting to hear a couple rumblings of driver pay going, a few people dropping just a pinch of how they do things, at least out there in the marketplace. So you might see that go flat. But, holy Hannah, you highlighted it in 2020 at 56 cents to 80 cents. The market hasn't been forgiving enough to award that. Now, it's important for me to throw my disclaimer that I say every single time we talk about driver wages. I'm the guy that thinks a driver should make more than a pilot, and I've said that everywhere.
I've said that too.
So that's not where I'm going with this, other than the fact that the market hasn't bared what you showed here.
Right. I mean, I said it 15 years ago that drivers should be making, back then, drivers should have been a 6-figure role. With what we asked them to do, we need the market to be able to carry that. But a company driver, obviously, owner ops have the potential of doing whatever they can do. So Prince is chiming in. If I can get my mouse back to me here, Prince is chiming in with true. So
you bet. Whatever we said, right?
Yeah, you're right, Prince. So, yeah, absolutely. The reality of it is, driver pay should be whatever we can afford to pay them as operators. I don't think anyone that's been in this industry for any period of time wants that to be any different. So, but there's a reality check of what the shippers will allow us to bill them. So,
I think it's fairly embarrassing that if you go to some of those numbers right before COVID, just how small they were.
Yeah, and how little. Well, I mean, you go back. So I started in the industry in 1990. Well, I started driving in 97. So I was in the industry a little bit before that. And I was making 28 cents. Maybe I started at 25 cents a mile, and then I was at 28 cents a mile. And shortly after that, I was in like mid 30s. So let's say by 2001, I was mid 30s. So I would love to see this going back that far, because if you think the previous 10 years were a 30% increase, not even. I mean, I think that it was pretty common for senior drivers to be at like 34 back then. That in the early 2000s. So there's a 10 cent swing over 12 years. And then you have, I mean, effectively a double of pay, 36 cent swing over 12 years. So that's wild. But yeah, I mean, I basically made a quarter mile when I first started driving. So
yeah, and of course you've got the guys that are retiring one by one that are telling you that they made more in 1982 than they made and boy, does that make my heart sink.
yeah, maybe they took it home. I don't know. I love. Yeah, there we go. Prince
There it
just said
is.
that. The reality of it is I love talking with people that came on before deregulation. I love talking. I just talked with a gentleman who started in 1972 with C.H. Robinson and was with. I'm going to run his recording here probably next week. Then he was with Alan Lund, or is still with Alan Lund today. He started there in 1984. But the thing, maybe you made more, maybe you net. I don't know. I'm not sure. So I definitely know that my neighbor down the street of the house that I was growing up, the house that I grew up in, I mean, he had a nice house and a swimming pool, and he was a driver and owned a truck. So the house that he owned that I grew up in is not probably the same type of house that a driver probably would have today, straight up with that really big pool and nice thing. It's just not typically what you'd have anymore. So I think anyone would agree that the driver lifestyle of the 70s is not what it is today. It was more like the pilot. They were,
I'd agree. And my dad made the comment when I got into the industry that I'd live to see the day that they'd invert, that a truck driver would make more than a pilot. I mentioned that to an IT guy the other day, and he says, watch what you wish for, because all that means is that all the progressive technology is going to move quicker to remove the driver from the truck. So
right.
I'm not taking a stance on any of that. I happen to believe that I'm going to retire from my career with a driver in the seat of the truck. And frankly, I see what's going on, and I'm not naive to it, but there's a lot of stuff to be solved. So I'm not starting that conversation 2 minutes before you kick me off.
Right. And we didn't get to as much resolution as I think we wanted to. So maybe we'll have to have you back on in a couple months and go through where we're at and how the year's going. So
sounds good.
We'll see where we're at. But as always, I appreciate having you on. And are you going to MTA this year?
I intend to find you for a free beer.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll happen. So and we got a session going on. We'll be around. We have a booth. We'll do all the stuff. And
I'll come find you.
I know you're not golfing, but you should. I mean, with that way that you put that ball on that green at your golf event, I think you should be golfing. So.
I've golfed many times. That vendor of mine has allowed me to retire, so I've been very quiet about my golfing since.
Fair enough. So fair enough. All right, Kyle. Well, hey, I appreciate the time. I think Prince says enjoying this, guys. Appreciate you tuning in, Prince. Appreciate all the comments. Appreciate everybody that tuned in today. But yeah, once again, Kyle, we'll see you maybe Tuesday night then. So
you got it, baby. I appreciate you.
Yep. Talk to you soon. All right. With that, we appreciate everybody chiming in today. We didn't get to all the topics that I was hoping to, but I just see Sheree saying part 2. So I think we'll get with Kyle, and I always love chatting with Kyle. We go all over the place. So we'll circle back to that somewhere maybe in October if we can. So with that, we're coming up on our time. We'll skip the outro and just go stay curious, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.